SugarLearning Sprint Review and Retro for Sprint 144 and the forecast for Sprint 145. The sprint goal for this for Sprint 144 was to complete the bug investigation for wrong user being reported in user history. The PR is drafted, awaiting approval. This was a 1 week sprint. Attendees, myself, Tom, Baba, Tino, Azair, and Adam. Work complete. There were 126 hours billed for the sprint with Azair, Jim, Baba, Tom, Tino, and myself conducting work on the system.
Right. If I was to combine the 3 teams, that would overtake the top team, wouldn't it?
The top team, sorry?
See the teams there? I think they're separate, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you added them up, they'd probably overtake SugarLearning and SSW TV.
Yep. Proceeding to the sprint backlog. As discussed, the wrong user being reported was investigated by Azair. There were a number of issues arising from that fault. Azair, did you want to briefly explain them?
Yeah, sure. So in the bug, during the investigation of bug, I found the redundant code, and also I found the repetition of the code and the logic, and I've created the PBIs for it. And yep.
What was the cause of wrong people being reported in the item history?
Yep, in the item history, the bug was all for that bug was for the several years. Means whenever a user changes the order of the items, the affected items were not reflecting the correct users. It was actually reported the last user who modified that item instead of the one who performed that action. And that bug was for the several years, and it's been fixed in this PR. And also,
you also
that
found
when we were,
you also found associated issues with archiving.
Yes, I also find out the root cause.
And they've been recorded.
Yeah, they have been recorded. Yeah, they've all been recorded.
Adam, any further questions? All right. Other issues, other work conducted, type mismatch across Angular entities. So this was a partial correction to time handling code. There is going to be further PBIs arising from that. We also got the new Chinafy architecture documented after the discussion at the conclusion of the sprint forecast, sprint review, retro, and forecast for last week. Other items are continued on into the next sprint, and I will discuss those as part of the sprint forecast. Tom, you're on mute.
And none of them are for Azair.
Sorry, what was your question, Adam?
None of those are for Azair. You completed your ones. They're items for you and they're ongoing.
I'm still the PBI that I was working on was the wrong user being reported, and the PR is means on review. Tom is reviewing it, and the rest I was not able to pick it up because this PBI comes with the other bugs and investigations further.
Right. Okay.
So I created a lot of
work related to that one. Still to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we created 5 PBIs, 6 PBIs out of it.
Azair's also lined up for the next monitoring task.
Yep.
Right.
Down to the sprint burn down dashboard, 41% of work was completed for the sprint. There were only 4 commits. Code coverage remains at 19.4%. terms of production deployments, there was only one deployment to production. The reason being that as part of Baba's correction to, I'll step back to the backlog to highlight one particular item. We had a report during the sprint where we were told that all SugarLearning items were broken. When the user attempted to access any SugarLearning item, they received the broken egg screen. Now, investigation of that determined that it was caused by them being in a fractional time zone. So Australian Central Time, which is 9.5 hours ahead of GMT. So Baba's gone and he's merged a PR which corrects that fault. However, it's exposed a bug in the activity time handling where it appears that the item was submitted, the offset of hours, different to what the user's in. We want to correct that fault before we do the next deployment. Otherwise, we will receive a lot of bug reports.
Yep.
As a result, we've only deployed once, and we have 2 other commits awaiting deployment.
Right. Okay.
Proceeding to application health overview. Failed requests are down from 688 to 559. And in terms of users, total unique users have decreased from 127 to 112. Authenticated users have decreased from 69 to 65. We made some progress on the Chinafy branch, taking it from 54 to 59%. No progress was committed to the EF core migration. That said, Tino was working on the test for the invited item repository.
Okay.
He has a PR out for it, awaiting review. There was no experimental work conducted as part of the sprint.
I'm not familiar with the last epic there. MVP features for making SugarLearning sellable.
Minimum viable product features.
What's an example of one?
Example 1 is adding quizzes.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. That shouldn't be in the backlog yet because I haven't improved that one. Yeah. No, I mean, no, not that one. The actual example you gave me. I'm sure other ones are fine, but just that one.
Yep, we understood.
Yep.
Proceeding to the sprint retrospective. What went well? Tino has recovered from his kidney stone.
Wow.
He's still in the process of fully recovering. Tino is also happy that he's been able to work on the EF core testing. And Nazza is happy to be back in the China office in person.
Yes, welcome home.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. With broken hand.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What happened?
Just before coming back to China, I fractured my wrist. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay. Oh, that's terrible.
You've done a very good job of hiding that from the camera.
Yeah.
As to what didn't go so well, Azair remarked that bugs are proliferating, if only because he found numerous issues as part of his investigation. And I note that we didn't have more deployments this sprint.
I will just call out on the that point. I think it's very good that you're smart enough and you're working as a team that you're not deploying that stuff because you know that it's not ready. it would be very easy with multiple people for somebody to deploy it without the okay from everyone. And it sounds like you're carefully holding back until you feel it's more solid. I do think that that particular item on the backlog should have a specific emoji that tells everyone we cannot deploy while this thing is open.
Some sort of barrier.
Yeah, some sort of something. Anyway, like, you know, maybe the red circle with the line through or something indicates to other team members, oh, we've got a blocking issue here that must be fixed before we deploy.
That can be tricky because based on Jose's investigation, he created multiple PBIs. If they're not all in the same sprint then, and we finish one of the PBIs, then somebody might actually accidentally deploy it.
It's not Jose's work, it's Baba's. It's what Baba found.
Sorry, Baba's. My apologies.
We can discuss that issue further later. With regards to improvements for the next sprint, I did still remind everyone that if you do have if you've merged a change, make sure that you've contacted the required reviewers or someone who can schedule deployment for you if you can't do it yourself. And Tom has also emphasized that you should always create new PBIs for any technical debt that you find during your work. Adam, are you happy with that retrospective?
Yes. I will just add one more thing. Jose should be working on a important priority on another team. Do you know what it is, Jose?
Tina Cloud?
Yes. And what is the specific item?
I don't know yet about that.
Okay, you need to speak to Levi and to Matt Goldman, but they think you're working on a security item for Tina Cloud for a very large customer. So make sure you talk to Levi and Goldie and make sure that you're working on that every day. As soon as you're blocked by that, then move back onto this.
All right.
That's your number one priority. We spoke about in Melbourne. Baba and Tina, how long until the Chinafy stuff is done on the login?
So now Chinafy architecture is done. I think we can plan out to deploy SugarLearning and identity to Azure China.
Right. And is that your priority to get that done?
Yes.
And who have you had test it before deploying it?
I was working with Jim in the office, yeah.
Yeah, I know you're working with Jim, but who have you had test it? Because people that write the code can't test.
No, we haven't deployed it yet. We haven't tested it.
I know, but before deploying it, who are you getting to test?